Hi folks, MasakoX here. We're gearing down the story of Bardock getting to meet his son Goku in this timeline. As we've stated, Bardock hasn't really had the best of reunions with his son, or his entire family on Earth. Truth be told, the former Saiyan soldier might have had a better time of it had he not interacted at all with his son. At least in HFIL, he knew where he stood. Perhaps this might lead to him going off on another adventure, without everyone else. Let's resume. After having consumed the sensu bean, Bardock was left completely dejected. Sure, he had managed to save his son from potentially being felled unjustly at the hands of Sorbet's blaster, and had actually done something to lead to Frieza's demise, like he almost sort of had the assist, but it wasn't something all that special or something that only he could have done. Despite all the protestations to the contrary, everyone going, "No, Bardock, no, you were really good." No, he didn't want to know any of that. These were merely platitudes and means to try and get him to cheer up, and he hated it. I want to go back to King Kai's now. Goku was a little puzzled. Huh? Dad? Don't you want to celebrate?
Listen to me, Kakarot! For once!
He simmered down, sensing that the group had flinched. He clenched his fist to channel his anger.
I do not wish to celebrate this day. This was no victory for me. All it did was confirm that I don't belong here. Time has moved on. I haven't.
He looked at Vegeta.
You might get what I'm saying, Princeling. My pride cannot take this anymore.
I hear you.
Kakarot, do what your father said.
He needs to dig deep before being ready for any sort of battle.
For the Saiyan warrior, this is the way, Kakarot.
Please. Goku was quite surprised. This was the first time he had heard his father say please to him, but he complied. Without another word to anyone else, he and Bardock transmitted out of there and off to King Kai's planet. Quite frankly, Bardock didn't care if he never saw any of them again. When they got there, King Kai was fast asleep and Gregory and Bubbles were busy washing his car. They greeted Bardock, but quickly realized that he wasn't in the mood to be greeted, and Goku looked to him seriously for the first time in a long while. "Did you mean what you said back there? That you felt like you don't belong on Earth?" Bardock returned the gaze. "Are you gonna make me repeat myself, boy?" "Yeah, I meant it. There's no way I could keep up with your group. No matter what I do, my heart's just not in it."
Oh, bull dookie. You just haven't reached Super Saiyan yet. Once you do, everything will become clear, believe me. And you'll catch up in no time.
No.
No? What do you mean, no?
Queried his son. "I'm not bothered about that power anymore. I was when you first showed me. The fact that the legendary power was indeed a reality was remarkable. But now, after seeing that any Tom, Dick, and Space Harry can get it, it's not for me." Goku was confused.
Don't say things like that, Dad. You're just frustrated. I get ya. Let me help. I'll train you up for real this time.
Bardock gripped his son's shoulder. "Not to be rude, kid, but I've heard that hymn far too many times for it to mean anything anymore. I ain't interested. Saiyans these days have long evolved from planet Vegeta. I ain't a part of that." Goku was thinking, desperately trying to sway his dad into coming back with him.
We can revive Mom, perhaps. She can join you on Earth, and then you'll be happy, and
All you'll be doing is subjecting her to the same turmoil and aimlessness that I've been through. Believe me, I tried to get her to come to Earth. She's happy where she is. She's glad, though, that she has grandchildren, that you're safe, that everything worked out. And then, hey, maybe in time, she'll see you all when you walk through the gates. Then she'll have all the time in the world to catch up." He smiled. "Trust me, she'll be all right." Bardock's boy was stumped. He had said everything he could to try and convince his father to come home with him, but he'd ended up with Bupkis.
Well then, what are you gonna do?
"I've got a plan. Seeing as how your mom and I are relics, maybe it's time for me to finally go search for the last piece of our puzzle."
Huh? Puzzle?
I think you know who I'm talking about. But before Goku could ask any more questions, King Kai had woken up and welcomed them both.
"Hey! Did you guys beat Freezer again?" "Oh yeah, King Kai. Dad here saved my butt from being hit with a laser beam." "Seriously? A laser beam harming you?"
Did you let your guard down again? He was being a hero and waxing lyrical as usual. Seriously, he needs to stop doing that, or else he's gonna get hurt by something unbecoming of his power. True facts, buddy. Goku? I take it you're staying for dinner?
He said slightly nervously, since he had not prepared enough for 2 Saiyan residents.
Oh no, we're having a party back home. I just came to drop Dad here. Huh, speaking of which, I better get back. I don't want to miss out on the grub. See you later, guys!
And with that, Goku just transmitted out of there, but not before giving his dad a look that read, "I'm sorry." It was a very fleeting expression, but Bardock got it.
Now what, Birdie? Did you find that Super Saiyan power you were looking for?
Bardock ignored the name Bardy. Nah, ain't for me. I'd rather focus on working on that Kaioken thing.
Really now?
Yeah, suits me more. That and red's a cool color.
Sure thing. But first, I gotta eat something. I'm starving.
And so, the pair of them retreated to the Kai's place and had themselves a good dinner and a catch-up. Over said repast, Bardock laid out his plan to the Kai, the king quietly listening and giving his thoughts.
This one's a doozy, pal. Ain't gonna lie. With Gine, she was hanging outside of HFIL. Your other boy, though? Different story. Those who nettle Yama pay dearly for it, trust me. Sure, they get to keep their body, but sometimes that's almost an even bigger curse. They get their own personal chamber of doom. Their own personal hell.
Their own? Really, that bad? Well, then why hasn't Frieza been in one of those?
Yeah, I ain't sure about that either. It kinda changes depending on who you're talking to. Sometimes he has one, sometimes he doesn't. Really, it just depends on what you read. The Raditz? Yeah, for sure, he got the shaft. So you're gonna have to go and ask Yama for yourself.
Is that it? Just go and ask?
You make it sound like it's a walk in the park, it ain't. Do you have any idea how much Yama hates Saiyans, kid?
Wait, King Kai, I need to call Kakarot. King Kai was surprised at the sudden change of conversation, but okay. As Bardock readied himself to call Goku back, he asked something that he had been meaning to the king.
Wait, you never said anything about this when I asked before ages ago. Why are you telling me now?
King Kai gave him a look.
I wasn't sure whether you'd turn out alright, Bardock. You did. So you deserve the truth.
Bardock looked at him with a quizzical look. Wow, I didn't know gods could be so slippery.
I ain't no average god.
After hailing his son, Goku returned promptly and asked what was up, hoping that maybe his dad had had a change of heart and wanted to come and join them for the festivities. No, Kakarot, but I do need your help. I wasn't straightforward with you earlier. This is something I need to do, to finally get some closure and some sense of direction again. Do you remember your brother Raditz? Goku nodded.
Yeah? You don't forget the jerk who tried to kidnap Gohan when he was a kid.
He did what?
Yeah, didn't I tell you about it?
Well, not really. We kinda glazed over that. But anyway, I want to go and ask Yama where Raditz is, and I need your good favor with him to do it. You'll think he'll listen to me, a good-for-nothing Saiyan who killed thousands of people? No way. He'll think I'm trying to start an uprising or something, and you, though? You're the best thing around here since sliced space bread. He'll listen to you. Bardock gave him a serious glare. Kakarot, I may not need you to teach me Super Saiyan, but I need you for this. Goku looked a little nervous, but realized that Raditz was far weaker than even his father, so he could trust him not to cause trouble. Bardock would take care of that.
Okay, let's go.
Goku didn't like this idea, but his father had asked, and he was old enough to know the possible consequences. With that, he and Bardock transmitted to the check-in station. Upon arrival, Yama gazed upon the two figures that looked eerily similar. He had to rub his eyes for a second, and for a moment, he thought that he was seeing 2 Gokus. But then he looked at the clothing of the older one and composed himself.
Who's this?
Oh, this is Bardock, my dad.
Yama looked a little apprehensive.
Oh, a Saiyan soldier, huh? I hope he's not been filling your head with evil thoughts, kid.
Bardock looked angry, but bit his tongue and let his son continue.
Listen, my dad needs help with finding my brother Raditz.
Yama looked even more dubious.
And do what?
To find him and talk. I spent most of my time in HFIL trying to look for my son and failed. I now know why. He was kind of a jerk to you. Yama looked surprised.
Finally, a Saiyan parent willing to be responsible, Goku! Oh, you've done wonders!
My point is, King Yama, is that I wish to speak with him and try and rebuild my family once more. The king leant forward on this mahogany desk.
I don't hope it's to commit acts of violence, Saiyan.
Bardock flew up to his face and looked him dead in the eye. The ogres were ready to go in case Bardock went off the handle, but no. He just whispered and hissed in the next words.
To prove you wrong. I'm done with all of that. I'm done with the killing. All I want is to see out my existence in the presence of those I give a damn about.
The two didn't blink, Bardock feeling the air rushing in and out from Yama's giant schnoz. The king looked past him to Goku, and Goku nodded. Yama sighed.
Fine. You could go... Wait. Didn't you die? Where's your halo?
Goku raised his hand.
Oh, that was me. I revived him with Dragon Balls.
Yama looked to him and then back to Bardock.
You're lucky, Saiyan. Since you're alive again, I can't throw your prior record at you. Technicalities and all. Get out of here!
He switched his hand over to an ogre who directed Goku over to a doorway, and then gave Bardock a key to a door, as well as a map to a particular corner of HFIL where he may enter and seek his son. When they headed into the city of Hades, Bardock looked at Goku and smiled. Kakarot, thank you. I know that our meeting wasn't to be expected, but I'm glad to know that you made something for yourself. It just wasn't made for me. Goku nodded.
I understand, Dad. Now go find Raditz. Hopefully you'll find what you're looking for.
With that, without a hug, Goku transmitted out of there, right before Bardock was about to ask him for a lift too. Oh, forget it. He could do with the exploration anyway. He set off back down into HFIL for the first time since he had been whisked away by Kakarot the first time around and deposited on King Kai's planet. Now free to roam since he was currently alive, he found the experience to be more interesting. The atmosphere, the air, it felt inherently different since he wasn't being subjected to his surroundings or imprisoned here. When he consulted his hastily made map, he was intrigued by the more intricate design. He had seen general maps of the area at some of the public areas of HFIL, but this one felt like it was more of a maintenance map. Loads of tunnels, back routes, and roads that he had no idea even existed.
No wonder those ogres could turn up at a moment's notice.
After hours of walking about the place, investigating all the different alleyways and such, he found himself at his old bed, that tree that he had called home for years. He actually found it kind of nostalgic. Think what might have been had the cricket not been selfish. I'd been stuck here. Wait. He squinted at the map and found the X on it. The place where Raditz's door was right here. In fact, when he looked at the map closely again, then reading out the instructions, there it was. The door to Raditz's chamber was in the tree that he had been sleeping under all this time. Bardock lowered the paper and was left fuming.
He was right. Under my nose. The entire time. Damn you, Yama!
He cursed Yama out loud. What kind of joke was this? So loud, in fact, that some of the attendants of HFIL shouted back, "Yeah, screw that Yama jerk!" Without another moment to lose, Bardock walked around the other side of the tree and looked at the note again and followed the other instructions to bring forth the entrance. Hey, at least Yama wasn't lying about the instructions, they worked. This was weird. This didn't look like a place of fire or brimstone, no. It was a barren world, blanketed in a permanent dust storm. He could barely see through as he stumbled about said dust bowl, but what he could see were figures of people who looked very familiar. Two people, Vegeta and Nappa. There was no mistaking the silhouettes of those goons. Then a woman who he could hear screaming. He knew that voice. That was Gine's voice. He knew that the real Gine wasn't here. No, she was cooped up in West Kai's kitchen. But even then, the instinct to protect her was strong. He surged forward, powering up to Kaioken to give whatever entity this was a piece of his mind, and found a very strange sight. And that's where we're going to be leaving things right. I got you! What he could see was Gine in chains. Standing over her were figments of Vegeta and Nappa, taunting someone. Bardock then turned to his right and spotted him. There, battered, bruised, exhausted, and in tattered Saiyan armor was his son, Raditz. Bearded too. He could see him slowly trying to walk toward the three beings. With every step he took, they glided back just as far, almost as if Raditz would never be able to bridge the gap between them. But it was close enough for those two to hurl insults in his direction. Bardock froze. My God, He then looked to the figure of Gine, and red sparks began to sputter from his fist. A final spirit cannon charged from his fist, and he lunged forward at the figure representing Vegeta. Bardock smirked. If he couldn't beat the real Vegeta, this one would do. Bardock yelled out and forced the ki blast into the face of the prince, vaporizing the entity in one swift move. Instantly, the Nappa figure halted his insults and looked to the fallen effigy of his partner. The Gine figure looked to what had happened, and her eyes were agog. Bardock! The figure of Bardock, cloaked in red energy, looking deadly serious over the body of Vegeta, stared back at her. Tears in his eyes, tears of rage, tears of frustration, but complemented with a smirk of satisfaction. Hey, it's over now. He looked at Raditz, whose face was just as shocked as his mother's.
Father, is this real?
The Nappa being tried to attack Bardock, but he met a fist to the face and was sent flying for miles. That answer your question, kid? Raditz looked to his feet and stepped forward. For the first time since he got here, since this entire ordeal began, he got a little closer to his mother. He wept. And that's where we're going to be leaving things right now.